Hello, it's Alex and welcome to Hey Little Thrifter. Today I'm going to be doing a wrap-up of Half-Halloween-A-Thon. This was a readathon that went on this past week, hosted by Megan and Sue at the restricted section. I will leave a link to their channel down below. And this was just a celebration of being halfway to Halloween, which is a really good excuse to get dressed up and read some horror, so I'm always down for that at any time of year. And in true restricted section fashion, I thought I would do this video with a beer. So I decided to get a bottle of Victory Blood Orange IPA with agave because I like an IPA and blood orange just sounded very Halloweeny to me. So I've never heard of Victory Brewing Company, but we'll give it a go. That'll do. Can't really taste the orange, I'll be honest, but definitely tastes like an IPA, so. Okay, we can work with this. Okay, so we'll recap the challenges of Half-Halloween-A-Thon. Number 1, review a book while in costume. And I figured I'd just do a wrap-up of all of the books in costume, and if you hadn't quite guessed, I am dressed as Wednesday Addams from the Addams Family. Not the most original costume idea, but it was definitely an easy one. I used to get called Wednesday a lot in my teenage goth years, but I've never actually dressed up as her, so I figured now was a good time to give it a go. Challenge 2, read a book that features a classic Halloween figure. And for this I chose Witch by Christopher Pike. This is a 90s YA story and it's about a teenage girl, I think she's 17, called Julia, and she is a witch. She comes from a long line of witches, and one day she accidentally has a premonition. She sees a teenage boy being shot at some kind of shootout at a liquor store, and he is literally dying in her arms, and she doesn't recognise this person. She doesn't know who it is or what it all means, and later on she and her friends all go to their school's football game, and she's introduced to Jim, who is her best friend Amy's new boyfriend, and Jim turns out to be the guy in the premonition. So she now has to try and prevent this premonition from happening, and it leads her into a lot of crazy situations, and it was okay. It was somewhat enjoyable. It definitely had a good nostalgic feeling because these were the kind of books I read when I was younger, and I'd never actually read this one. But yeah, it wasn't amazing. I didn't really expect it would be. I think I would definitely have enjoyed it more if I had read it when I was younger. But yeah, the story was good fun and I gave it 3 stars out of 5. Okay, challenge 3 was read a horror book that has been adapted into a movie and then also watch the movie. And for this, a little bit of a cheat, but I went with The Omen by David Seltzer. This was more of a novelisation of the film rather than the book being based on the film, but the author David Seltzer wrote both the screenplay and the book, so yeah, a bit of bending the rules there, but hey. And also I didn't manage to complete the whole watching of the movie part of this challenge. Unfortunately, I just didn't have time. But I have seen The Omen quite a few times, and I'm pretty sure I rewatched it like 2 or 3 years ago, so definitely familiar with it, and it still holds up as being a fantastic horror film. So both the film and the book came out in 1976, and they're about a couple. The husband is a politician and his wife, they really want to have a baby, and it turns out that they are the unwitting recipients of the spawn of Satan. So the stars have aligned, and on the 6th hour of the 6th day of the 6th month, the child of Satan is born and is given to this couple, Jeremy and Catherine Thorne. They name him Damien and they're raising him as if he is their own, not knowing that there are plans for him to turn the world into chaos and have evil reign. And this was a really great read. I, like I said, have seen the film before and really enjoyed it, so I was looking forward to checking the book out, and it was also very, very good. I had thought that it might either be not very well written or that it might read quite like a screenplay in some ways, but it didn't at all. It definitely felt like I was reading a novel, and it was really well written, so I was pleasantly surprised there. There are some differences between the book and the film, but not very much. It does stick quite closely together. In the book, some of the names are slightly different, but the characters are pretty much the same, and there are some slight differences with certain things that happen in the book, but nothing too major, I don't think, that changes anything within the main story. And it's such a great story. If you've never read it and you haven't seen the film, then I do recommend them both. I ended up giving the book 4 out of 5 stars. Challenge 4 was read a book that involves murder, and I didn't pick a specific book for this challenge, but there was murder going on in all of the other books I read, so definitely covered that one. And challenge 5 is read a book with orange and black on the cover, and for this I chose Volume 1 of the Books of Blood by Clive Barker. This was originally published in 1984, and I just realised that I managed to pick a book from the 70s, a book from the 80s and a book from the 90s without even consciously doing so. So there you go. This is a short story collection, and just to run through each one quickly, the first one is the shortest and it's called The Book of Blood, and it's, I guess, a supernatural-ish one, kind of just setting the tone for the title, The Book of Blood. The second one, The Midnight Meat Train, is about a string of murders that take place on the New York subway. The Yattering and Jack is about a demon who is terrorising or trying to terrorise a man named Jack. The next one, Pig Blood Blues, was my favourite out of the whole collection. I gave this one 5 stars. It is about an ex-policeman who starts a new job working at a juvenile detention centre. And yeah, I thought this one was brilliant. It was very dark and unsettling. I loved it. Next up was Sex, Death and Starshine, and this was about a stage production of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. And the final one, In the Hills, the Cities, which is about a couple who are on holiday driving through Yugoslavia, and they stumble upon a bizarre battle between 2 cities. And that one I had actually read before, years ago, but I had forgotten the name of it, so I didn't realise it was part of this collection until I started reading it. But yeah, that one was great too. So overall, I gave the collection 4 stars out of 5. So that was everything I read for Half-Halloween-A-Thon. This was actually my first ever readathon, and I really enjoyed it. It was such good fun. It was a good excuse to read these books that have been on my shelves for a while, and thank you again to the restricted section for hosting this. Good job. So happy halfway to Halloween to you all. Cheers. Let me know if you've read any of these, let me know what you thought. Thank you ever so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video. Bye!